No. Okay. Good morning, Patriots. I have to talk about this collagen that's really fantastic and you get a huge discount. Basically, hold on. Basically, it's 51% off. And look at my skin. I have no makeup on. I just got up. Gene hasn't gone to sleep yet, but I just got up. That's how opposite we are. Okay, so basically, healthwithcw.com. Check it out. It's bestseller. Yeah, I just got up and I don't have any lines, and it's fantastic stuff. Okay, so yes, many have purchased and they're very happy. No lines, rationing, zero taste. I mean, it promotes your hair, your skin, joint flexibility, strengthens nails, teeth, and gums, and healthy muscles, promotes bones, digestive health, promotes healthy appetite. I also got some other stuff. I got the gut, to help your gut if you have leaky gut syndrome, and the krill oil is fantastic. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to turn this off, and we have Gene here. Okay, basically, sorry about the last video. Gene did it once, and I don't want to make him do it again because he's sick. And now he's a little.
Actually, I'm better now.
Okay, he's better now. And basically, I had to block a couple of you because you were super nasty. And that's the way it goes. Anytime you attack me and tell me nasty stuff, I'm just blocking you. So you don't get to see the show at all. Now Gene's back. Okay, let's talk about this guy. We have, I'm going to go into a few things before Gene does. This guy was murdered. His name is George Floyd. He's a civil rights attorney that was involved in money laundering. Okay, so Gene, can you see the screen? You got it right here, right here?
Yes.
I can't breathe, my stomach hurts. They meant to kill him, okay? If he wasn't killed by the police officer, I'm sure they did it. Here, you can see the cop's knee on his neck. I just did a video on it. He was a civil rights attorney. It was exposed in WikiLeaks that he was involved in money laundering. He was a civil rights attorney, and they wanted to shut him up. And you know, it's like, let me show you some of the video. Hold on. Try these videos here. Look at that cop, that Asian guy. It's like, you can tell he's not the brightest. Okay, I'm Asian, I can say that and not be racist. He's kind of an embarrassment because he's not bright. And why is he on his neck for so long? He peed on himself. It's disgusting. Okay, I've seen enough. Anyway, so I'm gonna turn this off and we're gonna go over here. Oh, here we go. Did you know that this man, George Floyd, who died at the hands of this Minneapolis police officer, this victim, George Floyd, is in WikiLeaks, money laundering emails, a money laundering file attached directly to his name. I do believe this proves one thing, that this was a hit on this man, George Floyd's life. Dead men can't speak. George Floyd was a civil rights attorney. Apparently, he was involved in money laundering. In that case, he would be able to name names, but it looks like he can't now. Whoever wrote this is a total tongue twister. And one more before we start with Gene's. I believe that cop was MKUltra. And if he wasn't, then he was really nuts. And if he didn't, I believe that George Floyd was dead there. But if he wasn't, they probably murdered him and OD'd him at the hospital because they want to shut him up, just like they did with Seth Rich. He was fine at the hospital, and after he saw Dr. Jack Sava, a big Hillary donor, he was dead the next day. The one doctor examined him, he was fine, and then he was the next. And this is also another MKUltra job. This was Nicholas Deek, the money launderer for the CIA. The CIA has his hands all over this. And basically, this bag lady, this Nicholas Deek that made his own coin, he was the money launderer for the CIA. Guess who took his place? That would be Christine Baisley Ford's father, and Christine Baisley Ford was MKUltra also. Let's take a look at this person. I want you to comment, Gene, when you see this person's face. This is the woman that murdered Nicholas D. Hello, did you see this? Gene,
That doesn't look like a woman to me.
it is. Lois Lang, pictured here in a state mental hospital, has grown a beard since murdering Nicholas D. What woman grows a beard?
Yeah, that's some,
I
at
mean,
least some hormone therapy going on there.
that's
I
a
found the
woman.
name,
That's a
is
woman.
that really the name, Lois Lane? It's like Lois Lane and Clark Kent.
Yeah, that's Lois Lang. That person murdered Nicholas D., the money launderer. Then the job was given over to Christine Baisley Ford's father. So now we see all the freaks are out. The CIA had one of their Dr. Mengels, close to Dr. Mengele, take her from the road in Nevada and take her up to his house in Seattle so he could MKUltra her. Okay. All right, so now it's all Gene. Okay, this is his file. This is all Gene here. So, yeah, there you go.
So I sent Kirsten this when I did this full out on Rick's show, but the big part of this, Rick and I went through the top half of this really fast because we're getting down to the Morgellons part and how to deal with that, because I just finished dealing with a nearly lethal attack of it. So I wanted to get to that. But because we skipped the majority of it, we didn't really go into MKUltra, which started off as Project Mark Oft by the Nazis. And then it was developed and taken through Operation Paperclip, where they took the Nazi SS straight into the US and created the CIA. And they brought in the Project Mark Oft and changed it into Project MKUltra. Then they said they stopped it and they changed it into Project Monarch, and then they changed it again into another project. So they keep changing the name so you can't find them, right? And part of the MKUltra program is what is known as the targeted individual program. So these people are targeted a lot of times from birth, and they gang stalk them. They use all kinds of technologies like voice to skull. They do genetic alteration. And so go ahead and page down, Kirsten.
Okay. Well, this one you got to drag. You can.
Yep.
Yeah, this one you got. How far down?
So not quite that fast. Go up a little more. Up, up, up. So here's a list, like I said, about voice to skull. And it goes into that. Can you click on the link there?
This one.
Hopefully we can get back to the to the document after we go there.
I mean, I'm clicking on it. Look, it's not really open.
Oh my goodness, you're not going to be open any of my links.
Yeah, oh gosh, I don't know. But you can talk about it. I mean, is this it?
The links are pretty big. Yeah, they're pretty important to this. But if you want, what I can do, I have the document up. I could share my screen with you.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. That sounds good. Because I don't want it to be blank and we have to do it again, and then I won't.
Yeah, exactly. So let me do that. I'll bring up my document after I share.
You have your new computer working now?
No, I haven't had time.
You're kidding? It's been like a month or two.
You've disabled attendee screen sharing. You need to enable me.
How do I do that?
If you go to share screen down at the bottom in the middle in the green box.
Okay, share screen.
Okay. Then, or you can go to manage participants. I think it might allow you to do it there.
Yeah. Okay. More. Allow record, or I'll make you the host. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So continue. This will stop other. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay. So here we have the document. Let's bring this out of the way. Here. So this is the MKUltra program document here.
The screen's still black.
You don't see this?
No, I don't.
Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Show none.
This will stop others screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Share. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. Now do you see?
I see a black. Oh yeah, I do. I see it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so here, this is the everyday concerned citizen. They talk about MKUltra here, and they use all kinds of technologies with it, like HARP, chemtrails, advanced. This is the story by this woman, Jian Liang. You can probably pronounce this better than me.
Jian Liang.
There you go. And she was an absolute mind and soul controlled MKUltra slave. And so it's all about, she's Chinese American, an IT expert, a mother of 4 children, and they tortured her, raped her, did all kinds of things to her to make her a MKUltra slave. So I'll just page through this. And they use these MKUltras. They can activate them anytime they want. So they have frequency tracking technologies on these people. They have neurotechnology weapons, nanotechnology weapons, scalar weapons, sonic weapons, laser, and all of this that they use with these people. So let me go back to the document here if I can. Okay. And
okay, so from now on, you can do the files. There you go.
Yeah, we can do this every time.
Yeah, then you don't have to send me anything.
There you go. This will be easy. Oh, we did that one. Never mind. My bad. It's not in that. Okay. Oh my goodness. I did it twice. That's why I got the file twice.
Oh, you need to delete. Oh, here.
Yeah, I need to delete one. So here we have famous declassified government secrets. It's got a ton of sources. So like I was mentioning, through Operation Paperclip, and here you can see all the scientists that were actually Nazi SS as well as scientists to create the CIA. And then they did Project MKUltra through that. And so Project MKUltra was sanctioned by the US government, where they use things like LSD and all these things to mind control these people. And so let's go to the next file here. Bring that back up again.
Don't they also electrocute the children in the cages and rape them so they can split their personality?
So then they called it Project Monarch. Once people found out about, they said that they stopped Project MKUltra. Yeah, they just changed its name to Project Monarch, and they were using the Illuminati to create the New World Order, using these mind control slaves. And so Dr. Mengele, which you mentioned earlier, Kirsten, who was a ruthless Nazi doctor in the concentration camps, and they developed the torture techniques. And so they learned how to torture these people and cause multiple personalities, where through the torture, the person's mind splits into multiple and they call it trauma-based mind control. A lot of times it's done from birth, and once the child reaches 2 years old, their minds begin to fragment. And that means they get what's called dissociative identity or disorder, or DID, or just DID. And so part of that is through, of course, pedophilia. They're raping the child, and children, they can't begin to understand this. And then they start all kinds of cryptic and hypnosis and brainwashing and what they call chain programming, where they have different types of slaves, MKUltra, Monarch slaves that they make. So they have what's called a carrier pigeon. That's an alpha. And so the alphas, they have what's called a didactic memory, where they remember everything they see and everything they hear. So they're just carrying information back and forth, and then when they're done, they blank slate them. They wipe their memories out and put in fake memories for that time frame, so that they think they're doing something else. The second type is called a beta, or a Barbie, and that's a sex slave. So, for example, if you read the person down in Australia, and we'll get to her, I'll get her name out here in a minute, but she was a sex slave. And so a lot of, like Clinton or these big presidents and famous people like Soros go somewhere, they activate these betas, and they can activate them and have implants. They can act them through their cell phones, through local, like 5G towers, or even regular cell towers. And then they become a sex slave. They go to these parties, and their toys are what they call kitten alters, beta-tree kitten, that contain kitten alters. And so they're used for big sex parties, like presidential models and all that kind of thing. Then they have what they call the golden boy, or the Delta. And this is a Delta assassin, like what you were just talking about with this. They trigger this, like a cop or a military person or anybody. They can trigger that. They have many personalities, and they'll trigger the personality that has a program that was embedded through hypnotization and trauma-based mind control, where they have a target. They can drop a target into that program, and they pick that person up as that's the target that they have to go out and kill. So they're to us like a black ops, and they actually have teams of them as well, which is another type. The Deltas act on their own usually, and they are hitmen essentially for the deep state. So normally they're sleepers. They're what they call sleepers. When they're activated, then they go out and do the hit or the kill. Like, remember the movie Born Identity or Total Recall, Universal Soldier, Hitman, Sucker Punch. And they use all kinds of symbols to activate them as well. So they can be activated just by having them go, like they see a monarch butterfly, something from Alice in Wonderland, like the Mad Hatter, something from through the Looking Glass, something from the Wizard of Oz, like a yellow brick road. They have them watch these movies and do mind control, like they did in Clockwork Orange, where he was doing mind control on that man to deprogram him. And there we go. I think this is the next one. Let's see. Yep. So Project Monarch remains classified, but has leaked out. And the researcher, Ron Patton, theorizes that the name Monarch has to do with the royalty, because they look at the monarch butterfly as something royal. And so they create a marionette puppet whose actions are determined by the puppeteer, or the handler, or the controller. And this person is embedded as their handler for their entire life. So if that handler dies before the Ultra dies, the marionette, a lot of times the person can break free. It's called imperial conditioning. And so again, like I was going into, the last type, we had the Delta type. Another type is Theta. These work in teams of 6 usually, because they love the number 6. They love their symbols. And this is a psychically linked team. So they do neural implants in which they can actually integrate and act like one individual. So we saw this, that's, some of the big FF type things, false flags, where you saw groups of people across one city going to different Walmarts simultaneously, 3 or 4 people going in. They're actually mentally in contact with each other and acting like they're one individual. So that you have the head person that is linking to them, the handler that's linking to them and guiding the 6 and what to do. So they have telemetry devices, brain implants, and they're mentally linked. And they also have satellite tracking and highly advanced computers that are controlling these individuals. In other words, quantum level AI computers. Another type is called an Omega. And, that's a type of programming in any of these types. And what Omega programming is also called code green, so that if the person gets compromised, they self-destruct. In other words, they commit suicide. And when the person commit suicide, they usually destroy their brain so that they can't, nothing can be retrieved. They can't be saved and they can't be interrogated. And then the last type is a gamma, and this is a very this level is activated by itself. So it has, if it sees a target that it's been programmed to hit come within its range, and this cop could also be a gamma. So if he has a list of targets that's programmed into him, if one of these targets come within his range of influence, he'll take that target out. He automatically activates. He doesn't have to have programming or be turned on. Just the presence of the target will activate that person. And so that's essentially the basics of the MKUltra program in whole, except, there's some more documentation I have here.
So that would describe what the shooting in El Paso, Walmart, the Vegas shooting, the Parkland shooting, all those, right?
Now, like the Walmart where you had 3 or 4 people working together.
Right.
Those would be the theta teams where they're mentally linked together.
Right.
And so this is an excellent document I mentioned Ron Patton before, and it goes through a brief history. You can get this online. Just look up Project Monarch, Nazi Mind Control by Ron Patton, and it's a free PDF download. And it started from the mystery religions in ancient Greece, India, Babylon, and Egypt. And it was hidden knowledge of how to do this. And then during the late 13th century, the Roman Catholic Church solidified and brought in Satanism to further entrench the esoteric programming. And then Adam Weishaupt in 1776, who was what they call Lord Maitre at the time, the head of the world under Satan, was commissioned by Lord Rothschild in the House of Rothschild to start creating the Illuminati or the Enlightened Ones. So they then upped this MKUltra mind control very seriously because they needed people to do these hits and get rid of people that would be in their way for the creation of their new world order. So like, the attempt that was made on Reagan, that's one of those omegas where the target is, they're put positioned in such where they're available when the target shows up. So Reagan showed up and the person tried to kill him because they're just automatically activated. So they have certain areas where they train and make these MKUltras. It's done through the Tavistock Institute, the mind control program. And so German psychologists and people like Mengele, Heinrich Himmler, and all of these Nazi scientists and generals worked this whole advanced the ancient mystery schools into a science and a fine art, satanic fine art and this is talking about how the evolution of mind control, the Project MKUltra, goes forward. And the Soviet successes, there were Korean involvements, and then the techniques they finally settled on are radiation. So the way they torture people is radiation. Electroshock is one of the primary ones where they'll shock, like lights and bells or something will go off, and like the kids in the cages, that'll go off and the kids will get a shock. And so it traumatizes them. Every time they see the light or the bell go on, they freak out, and then they get the shock too. They also do psychology, where they do mind tricks on the person, psychiatry, where they're talking to the person and confusing them, sociological situations, anthropological situation, graphological, harassment substances, like I mentioned, LSD, other drugs were invented as well. And they have paramilitary devices they've developed as well to do this. So then they're designated, either MKUltra, Mark Delta, Mark Theta, Mark Alpha, Mark Beta, the different under the Project Monarch program. And they also have a sub-program, which is a whole group of sleeper assets, which have end times programming, which is called Operation Spellbinder. For when they were going to bring forth a new world order, every block they have a sleeper assassin. And so they would activate them all at once with a huge satellite signal. And the idea was they'd assemble into an army in every city on Earth. I've seen the list for Honolulu when I was there. It's literally like a third the size of the phone book. You have one MKUltra almost on every single block in every city in the world. That's how many of them they've created. It's astounding how vast this system is. So they use all kinds of occult symbolism. And then they have all the triggers for the altar. So they create many, many personalities, more than 12 different people. And each time they create a personality, they can mind scan the person and see where the personality ends in the brain. Then they do satanic rituals where they bring a demon up and put it in that altar personality, and it controls that personality. So they have many demons in them as well. So, people that are getting out of this, they also have to have exorcisms done besides getting their mental memories back, getting their personalities reintegrated into one person. They have all kinds of problems. And they also have, and this is why I got sick the first time, the second time, and the third time with my Magellans, because when you try to help a MKUltra, one of the personalities they have is a warlock or a witch that's trained in high-level black magic, so that if you're trying to help them, they'll start cursing you and putting spells on you. And they're trained to do it good enough where if you don't catch it, you can die from it. And then they also have what is essentially a rat altar. So if the person themselves tries to start breaking free, that altar goes to the handler, usually through a mind implant, and tells the handler that the other personalities or one of the other personalities is breaking free. So they have all of this different personalities to control the MKUltra, make sure they never lose them. So they use all kinds of different images, predominantly the ones that the survivors and the victims have reported are things like seeing the Kabbalistic tree of life, infinity loops, the ancient symbols and letters, spider webs. They show, like on TV or their phone, they'll send an image of mirror or glass shattering, and that activates an altar. Mass castles, mazes, demons, monsters, and aliens, seashells, butterflies, snakes, ribbons, bows, flowers, hourglasses, clocks, robots, chain of command diagrams. I use that one a lot in military, that when the person sees the chain of command diagram, an altar comes up. Schematic diagrams of computer circuitry boards. And then the bloodlines themselves do this to their own children, so that they use their own children as well, because they don't really care about people at all, including their own. And there's, again, explaining the different types of MKUltras and the end times programming, as well as the code green programming, where the person self-destructs at the end of all of their usage when they no longer need them. And so a lot of Stephen King's, his Fright Meister novels and things go into this DID, dissociative identity disorder, and MPD, multiple personality disorder. And that's why they use the phrase, we never sleep, because when the person goes to sleep, another altar will come up, and the person will get up and walk around. I've actually met some of these. They also have a lot of different things to reinforce the programming. If the person starts breaking free, they have all these movies have MKUltra programming and symbols in them. So Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, E.T., Star Wars, Ghostbusters, Trancers 2, Batman, Bewitched, Fantasy Island, Reboot, Tiny Toons, DuckTales, The Dead Sea Scrolls, and The Tales of Make-Believe. And all of these activate different altars and reinforce the programming. So the Monarch program, as well as also has a few big movies that are very famous that use it as well, which is Hellraiser 3, Raising Cain, Labyrinth. That's one of the biggest ones of all, is the movie Labyrinth, because it's showing that the original personality is caught and can never get out. And all the altars are caught in this labyrinth, and they can't get out of the control of the handler. And then they have Telephone, Johnny Mnemonic, Point of No Return, The Lawnmower Man, and Closet Land. And so they have various places that, Mengele, of course, started in Auschwitz, and it went on even through the Nuremberg trials. And so here's a list of the top handlers they know of, and the top manipulators that created the MKUltras is Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, Lieutenant Colonel John Alexander, Richard Dabney Anderson, who's in the United States Navy, Dr. James Monroe, Dr. John Lilly, Lieutenant Commander Narrett, and I actually know somebody, I've tried to help somebody that had been manipulated by Dr. John Lilly. Lieutenant Commander Thomas Narrett, Dr. William Jennings Bryan, Dr. Bernard L. Diamond, Dr. Martin T. Orm, Dr. Lewis J. West, Dr. Robert J. Lifton, Dr. Harris Isbell, and this one is actually Joseph Mengele, Colonel Rolson Green. He changed his name to that and became a colonel to hide. And they have technologies where they can change the aging structure of somebody, and of course they can do plastic surgery and change what they look like. So they just continued on in the programs. Some of the big, huge places that they do these, and all of these have dumps underneath them. So when you say Cornell University, they take them to a dump to torture them underneath Cornell. Most of your big universities and Ivy League universities, that's an ideal place because you're looking for especially for thetas that are psychic, you're looking for very intelligent people that have a history of family abuse or mental problems. That's the type of person they're looking for. So like the person here in Colorado that did the movie theater, that was under a high school because they had a dump under that high school. So Cornell, Duke University, Princeton, UCLA, University of Rochester, MIT, Georgetown University Hospital. And hospitals, you have a captive, group of people that you could easily tell a family, especially now, your loved one died from the virus. He was so contagious. We had to burn the body, and they took the person into a dump to turn him into a MKUltra. So you also have Maimonides Medical University, St. Elizabeth, which is in Washington, D.C., Bell Laboratories, Stanford Research Institute, Westinghouse Friendship Laboratories, General Electric, ARCO, Mankind Research Unlimited. And then the big, huge installations for military where they did them in the dumps, which, they've taken out China Lake. And that's the one where they got what's called a slave mill, where they had cages, spark gap grid, they call it, where they have floors upon floors in a big, huge cavern that was created with a neutron bomb. And then they put all these steel floors in with cages on them that are welded to the floor, and they can electrocute an entire floor at once and have bells and lights, like I said, and rape the children and all that to create MKUltra slaves. And they just, like assembly line, have tens of thousands at a time in those big ones like this, like in China Lake. And so the Presidio, which is also taken out now, that's up in the San Francisco area under Fort Detrick in Maryland, Fort Campbell, Fort Lewis, Fort Hood. Fort Detrick is also where they created AIDS, by the way, as well as H1N1 and human papillomavirus. A lot of things are created in Fort Detrick besides MKUltras. Redstone Arsenal is a huge one. That's where they create the thetas primarily, as well as Offutt Air Force Base, Patrick Air Force Base, McClellan, McGill, Kirkland, Nellis, Homestead, these are all Air Force bases, Grissom, Maxwell, and Tinker. And if you watch my dumb decodes, you can see which ones, they've gotten 80% of these cleaned up now.
Did they get Fort Detrick?
No, Fort Detrick's still Black Hat.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because it's just insane what's in there. And
but
then
where's Fort Detrick exactly? Fort
Detrick's in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and if you want to look at the creation of AIDS, look, Congressional Budget Section 5, 1970. You can go to Supreme Court Library and look it up, and you can see the congressional grant for $150 million to engineer a virus that will target the human immune system. So you can research that and vet it for yourself. Don't believe me, but I gave you how there. So another of the huge programming sites are Langley Research Center, Los Alamos National Laboratories, that's in New Mexico, Tavistock Institute, as I said earlier, and then Mount Shasta in California, and Lampe in Missouri, and Las Vegas. Under Las Vegas is a big, huge dome, and they take people that get drunk and they check who they are, and if anybody's going to miss them, and if they don't, they'll take them down there. Some of the notable people that might remember is the control of Candy Jones, who was a Playboy Press type model that they programmed into being a spy. Jessica Wilcox, and and then Kathy O'Brien is the one in Australia. And you can go online and look at YouTube's where she talks about all the stuff her whole life story about all this big, huge program and all of this is, the co-author with her was by Mark Phillips that did her story. And, this is a really excellent document. It just goes through everything about MKUltra and explains everything in quite a lot of detail.
Is that it?
Let me check my document here.
If that's not, I have a few questions from the.
Yeah, go ahead while I look and ask your questions.
Okay, so they were asking again about the Tom Hanks and Rita Hanks. They're both put to death, correct? And you said they used CGI on the face.
right? It's called digital mapping overlay, where a quantum computer in live time on a live feed, like a television show, they can have, for example, somebody that's very close to that person's build and stature and facial structure and body structure. A AI quantum computer can overlay, by studying previous things the person's done, the face and replace the voice, the words with, overlay the words with the original person, alter it to sound just like the original person. And so what you're seeing with Tom Hanks now and all these appearances is not Tom Hanks, it's his brother. He's, you know, he's not actually live. And of course, you've seen many, many movies. There's many movies where people can wear plastic masks if they want to even look like somebody else. They can do that as well. But look at the hands is the key, because they don't overlay the hands. Tom Hanks was much older than his brother. If you look at Tom Hanks' hands and then look at when he was on Saturday Night Live, the hands are much different. They're a little bit longer and they're much younger. So
And what
the
about
Illuminati.
Rita? Rita, is she gone too?
I don't know about Rita.
Because the one that looks like her doesn't really look like her, so it could be some.
Yeah, could be a replacement now.
Yeah.
So the Illuminati, this is another excellent book by Fritz Springmeier and Cisco Wheeler. Only read this if you never want to watch another movie again in your life. Because you're going to go and learn all the mind control in every movie ever made. This is incredible. So there's 12 major sciences of Monarch mind control. They do the selection of the victim. They look at the genetics and the dissociative abilities, the availability of the person, like I said before, physical and mental requirements, a list of organizations they have a list of organizations the person's in that can carry out the programming. They have 4 foundational steps for the programming. And they look at spiritual, what they call moon child ceremonies and traumatization in vitro. So even when the woman's pregnant, they're traumatizing the child. And so the trauma is done before birth, and it often causes premature birth. And they do what they call love bombing and love bounding, where they bond the person in love to their handler. And they sever the core of the mind so that the person's original, like if you remember, I think it was Britney Spears, and they triggered her and she suddenly started talking, is that strawberries? I love strawberries, like little tiny girl's voice. That's her original before they altered her. That's her original person. That's all that's left is that little girl. And that's stuck inside with all those other alters running things. So again, they do the traumatization and torture. And like I said, and most big one was China Lake. And this tells how, this is a list of what's in the book. And they have an anchoring experience where a core anchor, where the big trigger that first started the DID, the dissociative. And it explains that and the core and how the MPD works, a list of drugs and a history of how they do everything. So that's about it, Kirsten. I'm good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Gene's back. His health is better, right? You're sleeping now.
Yeah, I'm sleeping. What I did is I went to my old Honda and I took spark plug wire 1 off and I put a screwdriver in it and I laid it on the running rail, and then I hooked up, I started my car and I took off my shoes and socks and I electrocuted myself.
Oh God, don't try this at home. Don't try this at home, please.
Don't try this at home, but it shut the Morgellons down real quick. Okay. It worked really great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Gene's back. So yeah, we'll have a lot more of these. And once this gets to a secure place, we're going to try to see if we can support his many, many researchers all around. I'm so glad that now Gene's the host of this show because he can just pull up his own stuff. Okay, MAGA, men are getting rested. Keep us going where we go on, we go all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna put this on. Whatchamacallit. Oh, I think you're gonna have to. You're the host. You're gonna have to.
Okay.
Do
so
something.
I have to sign out. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. If I can figure out how to do that. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's see. Stop video.
Okay.
So I stopped the video. I think it did.
Then we need to close off all this stuff, right?
Let me see. Oh my goodness.
Leave meeting.